When you first learn how to drive a car, your knuckles are usually just stark white.
Oh, absolutely. 10 and 2.
Right, 10 and 2, terrified that if you let go for even like a fraction of a second, the entire machine is just going to veer off into a ditch.
Because it is entirely about control. I mean, you don't trust the vehicle, you definitely don't trust the physics of the road, and you certainly don't trust yourself to navigate it.
Yeah.
It's a very binary mindset, grip tight or crash.
Exactly. But then, years later, you're cruising down the highway, you've got like one finger resting on the bottom of the wheel, the radio is blasting, and you're just trusting the alignment.
You trust the momentum.
Exactly. It becomes effortless. And that philosophical shift from white-knuckled micromanagement to this breezy surrender, that is the exact spectrum we are unpacking today. So, welcome everyone to Hellcat's King of the Hill podcast.
So glad to be here for this one.
It's going to be a good one. Our mission for this deep dive is to review the top 3 winning tracks from the latest AI music community competition. We're really looking to see how each artist navigates that very divide.
Yeah, and as we look at these 3 tracks, this huge philosophical shift in AI music generation really reveals itself.
Right.
We're looking at a theme I've been calling the spectrum of control and meta-artistry.
Yeah.
Because the generation process, it's evolving into this deeply respectful collaboration between human and machine.
It really is.
But the artists, they were taking wildly divergent approaches to how they actually communicate with the engine.
Right, which brings up the central question for you listening right now. When you sit down to make AI music, do you micromanage the audio engine with a hyper-specific nuts and bolt blueprint? Or do you, surrender control and trust the latent space with minimalist prompts?
And we're going to see artists succeed brilliantly at both of those extremes today.
Right, for sure.
Plus, we're witnessing the emergence of true meta-artistry here. Creators are actually using the mechanics of the engine itself to comment on the community, the technology, and just the very concept of competing in these events.
It's so fascinating. So let's start on the far edge of the spectrum, the realm of total surrender.
I love this one.
Yeah. The third place track, it's called 7-Eleven Halo by the artist Cloacina, scoring a really impressive 81.1 out of 100. And the vibe here is this gritty, pulsing, psychedelic trance.
Yeah, and to understand why this piece works so well, we have to look at Cloacina's approach. If we stick to your driving analogy, they have completely taken their hands off the wheel.
Completely.
Instead of using standard generation tags, so no beats per minute, no instrument tags, no structural commands, they used this starkly minimalist prompt.
Right.
The prompt was simply Cloacina, Dream Relic, Ellen Nilsdottir.
Wait, just artist aliases and project names? That's the entire instruction set.
That is it. Literally just those names. What they're doing here is fully trusting the AI engine to just hallucinate the atmosphere. The AI has to pull from purely associative data.
Let's actually break down how that works under the hood for a second, because I think a lot of people assume the AI just randomly guesses when you give it abstract text, but it's really about mathematical proximity, right?
Precisely. Yeah, the latent space is essentially this massive multidimensional map of how concepts relate to sounds.
Okay.
And it's all based on the engine's training data. Because AI models are trained on vast amounts of internet data, an alias like Dream Relic is likely clustered in the data set alongside, ambient or ethereal audio tags.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right, and Ellen Nilsdottir might cluster near haunting vocals or Scandinavian electronic textures.
Yeah.
The engine doesn't actually know what a Dream Relic is, but it mathematically gravitates toward the sonic textures that typically surround that phrase in the real world.
It's like dropping a pin onto a massive map of the universe. Like with a highly specific prompt, you are picking the exact building and room number. But here, Cloacina just gave the AI 3 distinct constellations and let the engine choose the flight path between them.
That's a great way to put it.
It is a massive trust fall.
It is, and it's a profound way to collaborate. When you relinquish that technical control, you're basically asking the machine to act as an emotional interpreter rather than just a calculator.
Yeah.
And the sonic result here perfectly grounds the lyrical narrative they wrote.
Oh man, the lyrics caught me so off guard. You expect something highly technical or purely esoteric for a trance track, but this reads like a surreal diary entry.
It really does.
There's this beautiful juxtaposition happening between the cosmic and the completely mundane. It's basically the story of someone experiencing a profound astral projection while standing inside a convenience store.
The contrast is brilliant. The gritty, hypnotic trance music generated by the engine It feels exactly like the humming of a fluorescent light bulb that suddenly turns into a portal to another dimension.
Yes. The text is just so vivid. I love these lines. Honed her mind like a weapon. Starry eyes turned to heaven, lost herself at the 7-Eleven.
It's so good.
And then later they have, sippin' truth from the id. My crown got popped like a lid. And then it expands into this wild world building with phrases like government-made fractals, intergalactic particles of matter.
Right, and if we connect this to the broader spectrum of control we're talking about, Cloacina gave the engine the emotional framing through those alias prompts, but they handled all the heavy lifting with the narrative.
Right, they didn't have to say, make it sound intergalactic.
Exactly. They didn't need to tell the engine to make the music sound fluorescent or intergalactic.
Yeah.
The associative clustering in the latent space intuitively bridged that gap based on the mood of the aliases.
It is such a gorgeous synthesis. But, if Cloacina represents letting go of the steering wheel and trusting the probabilities, our next artist represents gripping it with white-knuckled intensity.
The total opposite end.
Completely. Moving to the other end of the spectrum, taking second place, and actually tying that 81.1 score is S or D, Do It For You, by Trippy Track.
Trippy Track flips the philosophy entirely. Like, if track 3 was a masterclass in surrender, track 2 provides a masterclass in surgical precision. They are micromanaging every single element of the audio engine.
The prompt they used reads like a dense technical manual. Listen to these instructions. They put boom-bap, 92 BPM, brush kick snare, dusty vinyl crackle, MPC swing, rim shot muted notes, upright bass pulse, muted jazz piano stabs, tape saturation, mono drum bus.
It's incredibly dense.
They are dictating the exact swing of the digital drum machine.
Yeah, and let's actually unpack some of that jargon, because those aren't just random audio words. They are highly specific engineering commands.
Right.
When they type MPC swing, they are referencing the slight, humanizing rhythmic delay pioneered by Akai MPC samplers in the 90s, which pushes the hi-hat slightly late.
Wow, okay.
And when they demand a mono drum bus, they are telling the engine to route all the drums through a single channel. That mimics a vintage single microphone setup rather than a wide modern stereo mix.
So they're commanding the latent space to assemble a very specific physical room, like a jazz club infused with golden-era hip-hop production, right down to the microscopic dust on the vinyl.
Leaving absolutely nothing to chance. But, the meta-narrative here is what elevates this track from a technical flex to a piece of true high art.
Oh, for sure.
Trippy Track breaks the fourth wall entirely to directly address the AI music community. They use the lyrics to critique the absurdity of grading art into these rigid S or D tier lists.
The rhyme schemes are so dense, and the defiance is just palpable. Like they rap, look at y'all stressing over letters, we're making art, baby, have a laugh. And my favorite sequence, they say, we use the eye to generate, elevate, levitate art, but you want to separate, regulate, tear it apart.
It is such a sharp statement.
Yeah.
They point out that we have this miraculous technology capable of elevating human expression, and instead of marveling at it, people are squabbling over a scoreboard, turning a beautiful miracle tragical.
I do have a theory about this, though.
Well, let's hear it.
Because at first glance, there is this glaring irony here. Doesn't it seem contradictory that Trippy Track uses the most rigid mathematical level of control over the engine dictating exact BPMs and mono-routing to deliver a message about being gracefully free?
I see what you mean.
Like they are telling everyone to stop being rigid while writing the absolute most rigid prompt imaginable.
It does seem really ironic on the surface. Why do you think they approached it that way?
Well, I wonder if they used that strict 92 BPM boom-bap prompt because they needed the instrumental to be an incredibly predictable, mathematically precise canvas.
Yeah.
Like, if the beat is doing wild generative hallucinations like Cloacina's track, the listener's ear gets distracted. Trippy Track needed the AI to sit perfectly in the pocket so their rebellious critique takes center stage.
Right.
The rigid control acts as a pedestal that allows the message of freedom to be heard clearly.
That is a really highly perceptive read. Sarcasm and critique require a very specific posture.
Yeah.
They needed the machine to execute a complex, undeniable rhythm so the human defiance could shine through. If they had used a floaty ambient hallucination, the biting sarcasm of a line like, if I get an S or a D, it means absolutely nothing to me, it would have lost its punch entirely.
Exactly. The beat would have swallowed it.
They needed the engine to be a perfectly tight backing band so they could just stand at the mic and deliver a pointed speech.
And it clearly worked, earning them a tie for second place. But, that brings us to the ultimate synthesis. The extremes of control and the extremes of surrender both tied at 81.1.
Which is poetic in itself.
It really is. To break away from the pack and actually win the crown, the first place track had to find the ultimate middle ground.
Exactly. The golden mean.
Taking first place with a massive score of 97 out of 100 is Reverie by the winning artist. This is the king of the hill.
A 97 is a monumental score in this competitive community. It's huge. And when you examine how they approached our spectrum of control, they found the exact midpoint between structural direction and generative trust.
The prompt they used is just brilliant in its brevity, but it's deeply specific. They wrote, Psychedelic UK Garage, Wonky, Melodic Bass Line. That's it, 6 words.
Those 6 words do an immense amount of heavy lifting. Let's look at Psychedelic UK Garage. UK Garage is a genre with a very specific historical and textural framework originating in late 90s London.
Right.
It relies on a shuffled, syncopated rhythm, usually around 130 beats per minute, and heavy, driving sub-bass. By naming the genre, they give the engine a very clear, rhythmic skeleton.
But then they add the word wonky, which just feels like the secret ingredient here. Wonky is a highly subjective, almost exclusively human descriptor. How does the AI even process a word like that?
It functions basically as a probability modifier. A standard UK garage beat is highly quantized, meaning the drum hits land perfectly on a mathematical grid.
Okay, very rigid.
Exactly. By adding wonky, the artist asks the AI to skew that predictable grid. It introduces micro-timing variations. The AI takes the rigid mathematical structure of garage and warps the probabilities just enough to make the groove feel off-kilter, swaying, and breathing.
Wow.
It introduces deliberate imperfection. And then finally, melodic bass line ensures the track remains musical and tethered, preventing the wonky element from devolving into sheer noise.
It's like a film director giving a lead actor the exact blocking for a scene, stand by the window, look at the rain, but then stepping back and letting the actor improvise the emotional delivery of the dialogue.
That's a perfect analogy.
You provide the boundaries, but you let the talent bring the magic.
And the production quality the model delivered based on those boundaries is staggering. UK garage can often feel cold or purely focused on the dance floor. But here, the engine delivered a bouncy but tender beat that just envelops the listener. It perfectly suspends a fleeting, psychedelic feeling.
The intimacy of the soundscape is definitely what sets it apart. Let's dive into these lyrics, because out of all 3 tracks, Reverie feels the most fundamentally human.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't aim for the grand cosmic scope of track 3, and it doesn't carry the fiery meta-commentary of track 2. It is focused entirely on a quiet, shared revelation between 2 people. It captures the exact microscopic moment a connection turns magical.
It hones in on the micro moments, the sensory details we usually struggle to articulate.
Just listen to the imagery in this opening verse. Started laughing, and I forgot what we were talking about. Your hair fell over your eyes, and somehow that felt important. Your hand touched mine, and neither one of us moved.
And neither one of us moved. That is a stunning line.
It really is.
It implies a sudden shift in the room's gravity. It's the realization that something irrevocable has just happened, and if you move, you might break the spell.
It's so delicate. And then the pre-chorus shifts the sensory experience, mirroring that off-kilter prompt perfectly. Everything was slow, everything was warm, everybody vanished, and then there was you.
And connect that lyrical sentiment back to their prompt, specifically that word wonky. You can see how the AI interpreted the themes of time slowing down and reality shifting.
Yeah, the beat gets kind of dizzy.
Exactly. The beat itself feels slightly detuned, mimicking the slightly disorienting sensation of experiencing a profound connection. The music physically mirrors the lyrics.
And the chorus just soars on top of that warped beat. Higher, higher, higher than I've ever been. Closer, closer than we've ever been.
Beautiful.
And then there's this subtle plea, hold me before the colors fade again. It's an acknowledgement that this feeling is fleeting. It's a reverie, just like the title says.
This actually raises a really fascinating question about our spectrum of control. Track 2 featured hyper-specific human instrumentation, and track 3 featured a deep psychological dive into the subconscious.
Right.
Yet this 6-word middle ground yielded a track that feels like someone sitting right next to you on a couch. Why does this balanced approach feel the most human?
I think it comes down to oxygen.
Oxygen.
Yeah, like when you micromanage every snare hit and tape saturation level, you might stifle the engine's ability to surprise you with a sonic texture that perfectly matches the feeling of everything was slow.
I see.
And when you give it too little structure, it drifts too far into the abstract ether. The winning artist gave the AI enough structure to stand on, but enough freedom to interpret the warmth.
The machine was allowed to be a true partner. It understood the vulnerability in the lyrics and built a tender, bouncy cocoon around them.
And the second verse cements that vulnerability for me. We kept saying nothing, but somehow understood, laughing at the ceiling like children in the dark. You looked so beautiful, it almost scared me. That is such a potent, honest admission. And I couldn't tell if I was dreaming or finally awake.
It is a masterful piece of songwriting. It perfectly balances the uncanny, dreamlike nature of AI generation with the most grounded, relatable human experience imaginable.
So as we step back and look at these three podium finishers, what does this tell us about the future of this art form? Because we've explored three distinctly different ways to talk to a machine today.
Well, to synthesize all of this, what we are witnessing is the pioneering of a brand new frontier of meta-artistry. The tools are evolving, but so is the philosophy of the human operating them.
Yeah.
Whether artists are using obscure aliases to summon latent dreams like Cloacina, or meticulously sequencing boom-bap drums to critique the nature of a scoreboard like Trippy track, or finding that delicate wonky balance for an intimate garage track like The Winning Artist.
Yeah,
They are all proving that the prompt itself is a form of artistic expression.
it really is.
The way you choose to communicate with the engine, your placement on that spectrum of control, is as much a part of the final art piece as the lyrics you write.
It is an entirely new instrument. And, it leaves me with one final lingering thought for you to chew on today. We just listened to an AI engine perfectly capture hyper-specific internet community drama about grating tears, and then pivot seamlessly to capture our most quiet, unnameable romantic feelings in a dusty UK garage track.
Incredible range.
Right. If a machine, guided by a few chosen words, can reflect our own humanity back at us with that much nuance and warmth, at what point does the tool end and the artist begin?
That is the boundary we are going to keep testing. And honestly, a question that will only get harder to answer as we keep exploring.
Thank you for listening to Hellcat's King of the Hill podcast. Make sure to check the description to hear the full tracks and join the server if you want to play in King of the Hill.